Welcome to the show, The Garage. Pete, what we'll have to do maybe one day down the track, we can take the camera off the tripod and we can walk it around the room, can't we?
Yes, we can.
I'm going to show you all the lovely old cars that I've been collecting for 40 or 50 years. I'm very proud of them. They're lovely, lovely old things. They don't get out as often as they should. But then again, neither do Pete or I.
That's right.
Oh dear, oh dear. No, it's all right. It's okay. Coming up on Friday's show around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com. I'm trying to get Dr. Joanna Hartnett, Sydney University, Professor Hartnett, expert on complementary medicine and vitamins. I don't know about vitamins. I mean, we either have the most expensive we in the world or we are pretty healthy with these things. I don't really know. It remains a controversy, however. Ending loneliness. Now, apparently it's a huge problem. This Hilda report, co-authored by Professor Roger Wilkins of the University of Melbourne, it's called Ending Loneliness Together. It's a global health epidemic. Pete, are you lonely?
Oh, I've got Katie, Jeremy.
Well, you've got Katie. I've got Missy. Oh, yes, and Caroline.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Look, it all works. I mean, every once in a while I think to myself, just to enjoy your own company. You know, open a book, read a book, flick through a magazine, I mean, clean a car, I mean, do all sorts of different things. But we can occupy our time in marvelously creative ways. Loneliness, but apparently it is an epidemic, global, and an emergency. Also Jeff Kennett, I'm trying to get hold of Jeff Kennett. I'd love to get hold of Pee Wee Wilson from the Deltones. Theo Morris is coming in. Also Bruce Ferrier from Grace Gibson. This is this wonderful business that started out in, I guess it would have been the 40s, distributing all those radio serials. And they're still in business even today. And if I can fit it in, well, we'll have Les Ellicus and his Ellicus report, and Dr. John Bruni and what the hell is happening in the Middle East. But anyway, let's get on with today. Happy Valentine's Day. I've got some funny things that are celebrated around the world with Valentine's Day. Apparently it's recognized everywhere. I saw the funniest thing the other day, an Aston Martin SUV. Now, you know I love cars, but and I love Aston Martins. There's one over there. But, an Aston Martin SUV? Pete, I don't get it.
No, neither do I.
Just weird. It was World Radio Day yesterday. Today in America, I don't know what they celebrate. I mean, some probably have more to celebrate than others, I don't know. And yesterday I mentioned it to you that it was the birthday of the motion picture projector. And one turned up. Pete, would you bring me that? It's over on the chair. I'm sorry, I'm just sitting there in a box. This turned up at Small and Whitfield yesterday, on the very day that was the anniversary of the projector. And the reason I'm telling you this is that I bought this lovely old projector for $5. $5! Amazing. I don't know how old it is. I actually hadn't taken it out of the box. But that's what it looks like from the front. Oh, the side. Lovely old projector. Would I guess be an 8mm or perhaps a 9mm projector?
8mm.
8mm, yeah. Happy birthday to the projector. $5, I love a bargain. Taylor's Wines, the great South Australian winery, and former sponsor of the Court of Public Opinion when it was on Channel 44, just knocked it out of the park again. This time at the San Diego International Wine Show, scooping up the Winery of the Year. This is global, showing that they can make it anywhere in the world. Congratulations, guys. The star was their St Andrews 2020 Shiraz. Wonderful. Right there on the global stage, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you remember the 149 detainees, the illegal immigrants. Some were murderers, 7 of them, in fact, I believe. There were rapists, there were paedophiles, held in detention because there was nowhere to put them. Their country of origin wouldn't take them back. No country would take them. And who would blame them? The High Court of Australia turned them loose on the streets of our cities, with the help, of course, of the Labor government. Now, you might be interested, or in fact perhaps alarmed, to hear that of the 149 detainees turned loose, 18 have gone on to commit further crimes and be further prosecuted. Now, I hope you'll forgive me for thinking that the law, while upholding people's rights, has a greater responsibility to keep our streets safe and our citizens safer. And I don't think these people really had very many rights to be upheld. But then again, I'm not a lawyer, let alone a judge. We're failing to teach our kids to read. Now, this is mostly a 70s problem, or it's a problem going back to the 70s. That's when they dropped phonics. Apparently one third of school children today cannot read. And that means, of course, they can't write either. They can't spell. They're illiterate. 1/3. They estimate that this is at a cost to the nation of $40 billion. Dr. Jordana Hunter, and from the Grattan Institute, Dr. Jordana Hunter is from the Grattan Institute, Professor Snow is from La Trobe University, and they worked on this tirelessly. There was nothing wrong with the way we taught previous generations how to read. It worked. Why do we listen to these people who create havoc, do great harm, tip the world upside down to achieve nothing? They have no credentials, no particular wisdom or knowledge, but they will tell us that what we have been doing that worked, oh, it's old-fashioned. Get rid of it. We're going to go into this new recognition of words. It's called word guessing. What stupidity. There's never an apology, just a mess. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I am still alive, I will be saying, of course, the same thing in future years about climate change and all the damage these people have done to our economy and our culture and our countries through their manic belief in real action against climate change. God help us. 56 million has been earmarked to fund a new workforce. A new workforce to get 3-year-olds into school. Too early. Far too early. They are recruiting thousands of early childhood educators. This is a finding of Julia Gillard's inquiry into education. God. I can understand those who might think these socialist zealots just simply want to get their hands on our children as early as possible. Perhaps not educators, but indoctrinators? I would never allow a child of mine to enter such a system as young as 3. That's ridiculous. You've got to have a child under your influence for as long as possible. You know the old saying, I'm fond of it, as the twig is bent, so shall grow the tree. As the twig is bent, so shall grow the tree. The lefties have made incredible progress in our society, most societies. Control of education as young as possible. Control the media. Control the judiciary. A very typical Marxist doctrine approach. Right under our noses. Be aware. Thousands of sheep and cattle unloaded from that animal death ship in Western Australia yesterday, in the middle of a heat wave, by the way. Could this mess please be a watershed that leads us to ban this evil trade once and for all? Please? Or are we going to go through this again and again and again? Now, judging from your comments, you feel very much the same as me when it comes to government waste. Some suggest a razor gang, others a war on waste, a demand that they do in fact live, the government I mean, live within their means. Simple good management. Some people say, and I would go that far, government waste would be running at 50%. 50%, meaning they could run the country on half what it is currently costing us. Neither side will put in the necessary controls, the checks and the balances, which would make a world of financial difference. These people are politicians. They are not our political masters. They should not tell us how much they will take from us. We should be telling them how much we are prepared to give to them. Subtle difference, but a very important one. One of the areas out of control, as I've often said, is the NDIS. Well, there is an overhaul underway. Whoa, whoa! Now, the problem seems to be the providers. I think it's the whole thing, but this is what they're saying. It's the providers, of whom, it might interest you to know, there are 170,000 who all should obviously be registered. There are 17 of these providers who are registered. Can you believe that? Oh, the problem is the many unregistered providers. Well, why are you, the government, or Bill Shorten, or the NDIS paying them? Why? How did they get into the system to exploit it in the first place? I must tell you something here. 170,000 unregistered providers. 170,000. Why do you idiots think that only 17 are registered? Could it be that there is more money to be made if you're not registered and just sailing under the radar? No registration, no control, no observation. Now, there was a review, an inquiry last year. Now there is another one, a report to be handed down in July. These people couldn't run a booze up in a brewery. Look, for free. Absolutely for free. I will tell you what to do. If you are not a legitimate, approved, licensed provider, the government, the NDIS, will not pay you a cent. Now, what's hard about that? What is hard about that? I said when this whole thing was launched that it had the potential to send the country broke. Thank you, Julia Gillard. And that was before we found out, as Bill Shorten said, the NDIS is in the hands of criminals, organised crime. They only had to look at the disability support pension to recognise out of control. Anyway, I'll give you the dates in a couple of seconds, but I just want to remind you about Jim Elder and his wonderful art gallery, Jim Elder Fine Art Gallery on Melbourne Street at North Adelaide. He is looking for pictures for his famous auction. He has 3 or 4 a year. Now, he is looking for the March and April auctions. And he's looking for entries, Australian and international paintings. Jim will organise a no-obligation appraisal. So if you have any painting that you perhaps suspect could be quite valuable, preferably, obviously, a noted Australian or international artist, it could be worth a lot more than you could imagine because Jim sells to the world. Could be worth thousands. Now, sell it or recognise it for the valuable piece that you have. Jim and Helen Elder at their beautiful gallery, it's at 106 Melbourne Street, North Adelaide. They're open Monday to Friday, 10 till 5. All you need to do is call Jim or Helen. Their number, the landline number is, few people have a landline these days, but it's 8267 2869. Or you can call Jim on his personal mobile, which is 0417 811184. And as I say, he could make your day. Pete's got a song for us, but you're not going to sing one of yours, are you? What are you going to do? It's a Johnny Cash and.
We both liked it. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's the one I listened to the other day with you.
Yes, Johnny Cash and Linda Ronstadt.
Johnny Cash and Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'd ever sung together very often, but this is a beautiful.
Well, that's the only one that I'm aware of.
Beautiful duet. And John's no longer with us, and Linda Ronstadt is very ill. I think, what is it? I think she has Parkinson's.
I think so. Yes, I think it's Parkinson's.
Dear oh dear. Happy Valentine's Day. It's the 14th. 270 was the year. St. Valentine dies, giving birth to Valentine's Day. Some sources say it was 269, others 273. We've gone for 270 AD. Happy Valentine's Day. Alexander Graham Bell and Elijah Gray, apparently separately, file patents for the telephone. The Supreme Court eventually rules that Bell rightfully was the inventor. There was, of course, the St. Valentine's Day massacre on this day in 1929. 7 gangsters killed allegedly on Al Capone's orders. I think they were in a barber shop from memory. Date of events in the Australian movie Picnic at Hanging Rock, 1900. James Cook, and the wonderful James Cook, explorer, navigator, cartographer, discovered, explored Australia, the Pacific Islands, New Zealand for Britain, killed in a fight on the Hawaiian Islands at the age of 50 on this day in 1779. Richard Nixon installed secret tape recorders in the White House, 1971, on not Andre Previn, Dory Previn, American singer-songwriter, dies at 86. That was 2012. Oscar Wilde's Importance of Being Earnest opens in London, 1895. Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to be cloned from an adult cell on this day, dies young from a progressive lung disease. She was only 6. This day in 2003. And of course, 1966, the Australian currency is decimalised. Decimalised! Decimal currency, postage stamps introduced, all of that. 1966. The original Dracula film, Bela Lugosi, The Titular Vampire is released, 1931. And I think I will leave it there. And I will throw to this, which is a lovely song. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Cash. And Pete?
Linda Ronstadt.
Linda Ronstadt!
Yeah.
Take it away.
One morning as I rambled down by the seashore, the wind it did whistle and the waters did roll. I heard a fair maiden give a pitiful cry, and it sounded so lonely as it swept off on high.
I never will marry, I'll be no man's wife. I intend to stay single for the rest of my life.
The shells in the ocean flowed by my deathbed, and the rushing deep water swam over my head.
They say that love is a gentle thing, but it's only brought me pain. For the only man I ever loved has gone on the morning train.
She cast her fair body in the water so deep, and she closed her pretty blue eyes forever to sleep.
I never will marry, I'll be no man's wife. I intend to stay single for the rest of my life.
The shells in the ocean flowed by my deathbed, and the rushing deep waters